starts right now with a breaking news alert.
We're continuing to follow breaking news tonight. We've been in Rochester, where a mass shooting at a splash pad happened earlier this afternoon. It injured at least 9 people. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Whitney Burney. That shooting happened around 5:11 p.m. at the Brooklands Plaza splash pad. This is on Auburn, west of DeQuinder. We do have team coverage, beginning with 7 News Detroit reporter Tiara Braddock, who's been at the scene all afternoon. Tiara, what can you tell us at this hour?
Well, Whitney, this is just a sad situation unfolding out here in Rochester Hills. Between 9 to 10 people shot at the splash pad right behind me. It's right here on East Auburn Road in Rochester Hills. We are told at least one of the victims is a child, believed to be only 8 years old, and police are still working to bring in the suspected shooter. Now, my colleague Brittany Toulis will have more on that shortly. The shooting happened at around 5 this afternoon. Oakland County Sheriff Michael Bouchard believes the suspect fired at least 28 times in the area of the splash pad. Bouchard said they recovered a handgun and 3 empty magazines. Police believe this was a random shooting. They are still investigating why someone would do this. Again, around 9 to 10 people shot. I want you to hear from the sheriff himself as he talks about this tragedy, and also hear from a man who lives not too far from the scene. He told me he can't believe something like this happened in his community.
It's a gut punch, obviously, for us here in Oakland County. We've gone through so many tragedies. We're not even fully comprehending what happened at Oxford. And, now we have another complete tragedy.
I had my own son here last year, and I was supposed to have him this weekend, and I was going to bring him up here to the same place. It was actually supposed to be today, but he's back at home with his mom. And I thank God that I didn't. I could be at the hospital with my son right now.
And as far as an update on the victim's condition, Sheriff Bouchard says that they are still working to learn that with so many victims, it can be hard to track down everyone's condition. But he did tell us that they believe that one of the victims had a surgery and it went well, so that's good news. But we're still working to learn about the other victims. But for now, reporting live in Rochester Hills, Tiara Braddock, 7 News Detroit.
Tiara, thank you so much. We are all hoping that those victims will be recovering soon. Our team coverage continues now with 7 News Detroit reporter Brittany Toulis, where Oakland County Sheriff's deputies have surrounded a home not far from that shooting scene. Brittany, can you kind of describe what you're seeing out there? I'm seeing a lot of police presence behind you.
Hey Whitney, I am at DeQuinder and Willowwood right now, and there are a lot of police. I'm just going to get out of the way so you can see this active scene right behind me. Police believe the suspect behind today's splash pad shooting is inside a home or near a home on the other side of the street in the DeQuinder Estates Housing Division. It's unknown if the suspect is armed right now, and witnesses are also telling me here that he may be near a pond behind a home as well. We've seen officers walking with lawn guns, and an armored vehicle is also here on the streets. And Danny, if you can push in just right across the street, you can see a number of Oakland County deputies on the sidewalk outside there. And like I said, we saw another tactical vehicle just pull up minutes ago. Right now, there isn't a lot of information on the suspected shooter or their motivations. Witnesses told police the shooter pulled up in a vehicle, got out, and opened fire. The Oakland County Sheriff said at the time they believe this shooting is completely random. Police have also confirmed they found a semi-automatic handgun and 3 empty magazines. The Oakland County Sheriff says the shooter fired as many as 28 rounds into that splash pad, even stopping to reload at least one time. Police are asking people in the area to stay inside until the situation is resolved. And police have said earlier they have tried to make contact with the suspected shooter, but right now they said they have not been able to, and we are staying here to work with any updates to get that information to you as soon as we can. And also, if you're out here driving, like I said, DeQuinder is completely blocked off, and it's blocked off up at Hamilton up there. So if you're driving in the area, police are asking you to stay away from here. And if you live in one of these homes, police are asking you to stay inside until the situation is resolved. We'll be out here monitoring the scene, and if anything happens, we will get that info to you right away, Whitney. But for now, live at DeQuinder and Willowwood, I'm Brittany Toulis for 7 News Detroit.
All right, Brittany, thank you. Terrifying to hear this possibly was random. We're joined now live on Zoom by Rochester Hills Mayor Brian Barnett. Mayor, thank you so much for joining us this evening. I know that you were there on the scene shortly after police arrived there. What's your reaction to the events that we've seen tonight?
It's heartbreaking. So proud of this community. Our community is normally mentioned with tremendous accolades, but obviously this is an unfortunate event. The first responders have been incredibly professional. Our residents of this particular neighborhood, the Brooklands, is our oldest neighborhood in the city. It's a very historic place. People are very proud of this community. And right now our focus is singular. It's on the victims of this tragic event.
I know that this is, of course, not the first time that we've seen this in Oakland County with the tragedy in Oxford a few years ago. Just describe for me the feelings, the emotions out there. I'm sure it was a very scary situation, even for people who were not actually there as it happened.
When I walked up to the scene, I mean, obviously I'm very familiar with the splash pad. That's not the way a splash pad is supposed to look. It was immediate tears in my eyes because I know what a splash pad is supposed to do. It's supposed to be a place where families gather, where memories are made. And today it wasn't that. And again, like I said, we are completely focused supporting first responders, supporting the folks that are out. We have over 100 officers and firefighters out here at both scenes right now. And our thoughts and prayers are just at the area hospitals where our residents are. And we're praying for them and, as I said, for a speedy recovery. We'll recover as a community, but our focus right now is on those families.
Is there any words of encouragement for people who are likely scared hearing these headlines at home, wondering what's going on, what may have happened? Anything that you want residents there in the city to know or hear from you as a leader?
Well, listen, I'm proud of our community. Like I said, our first responders have been absolutely exceptional. You never want to see this happen. I've been mayor for 18 years. I've watched my colleagues across the country face situations like this. You never think it could happen. Rochester Hills is the safest city in Michigan for the past 7 years. It can happen anywhere. And now our focus, like I said, is just on supporting those first responders. We'll do whatever we can to make sure those residents are supported. We got all sorts of care services coming in for our residents tomorrow, for our first responders, for those victims and their families. So our focus now is singular, but we will come back as a community and figure out how we continue to offer safe parks moving forward. But in this day and age, everyone has to be careful. But this community is strong and will rebound.
Mayor Barnett, thank you so much for your time this evening. I'm sure it is a very busy scene out there, so we will let you go now. Also joining us live tonight on the phone is Steve Dolan, retired Detroit Assistant Police Chief. Steve, what law enforcement insight can you share on an investigation like this?
Well, it's going to be a long night. You figure there's been multiple injuries. You have to collect all the spent casings. They still don't have the individual in custody. They're probably doing intelligence right now to see what kind of background this individual has as far as a criminal background, how many weapons he's purchased. I'm assuming it's a male. How many weapons they've purchased. Are there weapons in the house that they're surrounding, or as someone said, maybe in a pond? Are the officers in danger? After we get all this guy in custody, what are we going to do for the first responders as well as the people that were there and had to witness this carnage? Because it's hard enough on the victims and the innocent people there. When you have police officers and EMS and fire running in there, picking up kids that are bloody, been there, done that, and messes you up, and you need counseling. Heck with the macho stuff. You need counseling. Now they're out there trying to get this individual in custody without an officer-involved shooting, but
I know as well some of the officers who are likely responding right now possibly were responding to Oxford a few years ago. Paint a picture for us. What is that like on the law enforcement side, responding to something this serious, this tragic?
You're going, oh my God, again? I thought I was past it last time. Years ago, we had that multiple shooting at the fireworks where 7 or 8 people were shot. And the officers are going, oh my gosh, well, we got through this. And then a couple of years later, there's another shooting. And you wonder, when does this stop? But quite honestly, we're not going to stop until we do more with mental health. It is what it is. I don't know this person's background, but when you do that randomly, shooting kids and people on a Saturday, you can't be playing with a full deck, I guess. You have mental health issues.
Steve, thank you so much for being with us tonight, giving us that insight. Of course, stay with 7 News Detroit on air and online at WXYZ.com for updates in this shooting investigation. We'll be back in a moment.